Hey YouTube, it's Ryan here, slowly starting to get my voice back, but I wanted to make a very quick video going over how to solo Kalphite King on leagues because I've seen an absolute ton of questions from people who are unsure how to do it, what the strats are, what the kind of method is to get it done. So what I thought I would do is just head into a kill here. I'm wearing no armor, I've got a Dragon Rider Lance, and then just for invent, I've got a shield that is extremely important, just some kind of main hand, not terribly important, and then I've got a bunch of cooked Eligators and some super restores. Basically, bring whatever you want. You could do this with a Crystal Halberd. I did my first kills with it. You could do it with a Dragon Rider Lance. Obviously, it's better. But yeah, in leagues, Drygores are somewhere between like a 1 in 7 and a 1 in 10 drop. So it's probably the best upgrade you can get. But solo KK is fairly mechanical. But as long as you kind of pay attention to a couple specific things, you should be able to get most, if not all, of your kills. So with that said, let's hop on in and yeah, get into the kill. So first off, the color of the wings is going to dictate the spawn type. So what we've got here is we've actually got melee phase. In melee phase, that means there is only one thing we really need to worry about, which is the green attack, which is going to be coming out in a little bit. But the way that Kalphite King works is it's a very structured boss. It works the same way every time. First thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to reposition myself because in a second, the boss is going to charge. And I actually want to spend most of my kill here on the east wall so that minions are less of a problem. But for this first green attack, after Kalphite King does the slam, he's going to hit me twice and then I'm going to use freedom. So that's one hit, and he swapped to magic phase, which can also happen. Magic phase is the easiest phase of all. This is kind of the phase you want, and if you're really like learning Kalphite King for the first time, you could actually leave and come back in over time, specifically so that you only get magic phase if you want to do that. It's not super necessary, but it can be nice. Now, we're hugging this wall to hopefully aggro fewer of the minions, but some of them may get on you at times. If the minions are getting on you, you've got a couple options. What I like to do is I like to run all the way down here so that the minions get lured, and the ones that are on me, and then that way I can actually kill them with area of effect attacks like Hurricane and Quake. And that way I'm kind of dealing with the minions a few at a time instead of just getting surrounded by 100 minions at once. We're back to melee phase again. It's also worth noting, you don't want to stand exactly against the wall, because if you stand completely against the wall, what's going to end up happening is Kalphite King is going to charge you and hit you with like this 4K hit that's like typeless and very annoying. So you want to be like a couple tiles off the wall. All right, here we go. We're in a melee phase. We've got the charge. KK is going to hit me twice, and then I'm going to use the freedom ability. So that's one more, and I use freedom, just like that. So now I'm green, but because I've got freedom, I can actually use the dive ability, and I'm going to do that when my stun timer is at 4 seconds. And then all I'm going to do is reso the green attack. We'll definitely have to show that back in slow motion, just because, you know, it happened pretty quickly. But effectively what you're doing is you're freedoming before you get stunned so that you're able to move. The dive ability is going to put you far enough away if you click it at max distance that the stun is actually going to wear off in time for you to resonance your own green attack. And it's also worth noting, there are lots of abilities that you can use on this. You could use Barricade, you could also use Devotion, whatever you would like. Kalphite King has pushed me again. That's 2 hits. I'm going to freedom again, just like that, and it's exactly the same as before. This is the best way to dodge the green. This is the way to do it on the melee phase. It's very simple. Other cool thing too is keybinds won't work when you're stunned, but you can click on anything out of your invent. So if you want to like drink a prey pot, you want to eat, anything else, just click out of your invent and it'll work. But other than that, we're basically just going to hang out along this wall here. As you can see, a ton of minions just spawned, but most of them shouldn't be able to get on me as long as I'm close to this wall. For the minions that are getting on me, obviously, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to run between each side of the room just to kind of lure them onto me so that I don't need to deal with the vast majority of them. And I found for me, when I had terrible armor, or like I am right now, no armor, the thing that I found the most noticeable was the damage I was taking from the minions. So this is a really, really good strategy just to avoid it. Because yeah, if I go out there, I'm going to get absolutely blasted. So yeah, definitely hugging this wall is a solid play. Yeah, we're basically at the end of this kill at this point. I've used almost no food. I'm of course wearing no armor. We haven't done any crazy rotations. I'm kind of just hitting abilities. But there are a couple other things that I do want to caution you about with relation to Kalphite King. And we're going to do that right after this kill. But yeah, basically, that is the most simple Kalphite King solo. Obviously, the most important thing is just dodging that green. As long as you can dodge the green, you're going to be able to get easy, clean, smooth kills. But there are a few other things that we need to talk about with regard to Kalphite King that are very important. Let's hop into another kill here, and let's talk about range phase. In range phase, KK is going to attack you twice, pause, and then attack you twice more. And then after those 2 attacks, Kalphite King is going to green. You have 2 options there. You could freedom it and dodge it exactly like you would, if it was on melee phase, but my recommendation, what I did in this clip right here, just a few seconds ago, is I actually just used a stun ability to skip an attack, because that's another thing you can do at Kalphite King. On the range phase. If you use a stun, it will just skip a mechanic. So what I did there is I just skipped the green via stunning. That's a very viable option, and I find range phase is kind of the most annoying just because you do take a lot of damage during the phase, but it's not terribly difficult, especially for the green. It's definitely easier to deal with that green than it is on the melee phase, where you actually need to be really precise with your timing. Once again here, though, we've got some minions, so I'm going to drag them all into position. We're going to do a bit of the Great Gill Owner run here. Just want to get them all lured nicely so that I can clear them without having to aggro the other ones on the other parts of the room, just to save myself a little bit of grief and a little bit of annoyance later on. There we go. Minions have been taken out, and we are attacking the boss on Mage Phase. One other thing that's really important to mention about the Kalphite King is when these minions spawn, it actually skips a mechanic. And because of that, what's going to end up happening here is if the minions spawn at a bad time, you might notice like, oh, it's melee phase. I'm supposed to get slammed into the wall, but KK isn't slamming, or isn't doing the charge attack. And if that happens, you need to be really, really careful because he could skip this slam attack by spawning minions, and then he could still green you after 2 hits. So basically for that, all you need to really do is just make sure you're paying attention. And if minions spawn, you might get a green that comes out a little quicker than you were expecting. Just like that, my timer is somewhere between 4 and 3 seconds on my stun. Then I'm gonna res my own green, just like that. But we're actually getting a swap here into a range phase. So once again, range phase, KK is gonna attack twice and then pause. And then KK is gonna attack twice more. That's 1, that's 2, just a second. And now I'm gonna stun. Something else that some people do is if you're more comfortable just dealing with magic phase, what you could do is you could actually open up an instance, start up the fight, and then if you get a spawn that you don't like, because it's random every time, you could just climb up and then go back in, and you're basically going to be resetting your spawn each time. So if you really hate range phase, you could do that to completely avoid the range phase. But yeah, that is more or less the rundown for how to solo Kalphite King. Not a whole lot you really need to be super, super wary of or super, super aware of. Main things are just get over to the east side of the room to have a nice, easy time. Don't have to deal with the minions that way. I just got greened at War's Retreat. That's very funny, to be honest. I have never seen that before. But yeah, that's more or less it. Hopefully that helps you get some kills. And then yeah, big thing is just count your auto attacks. If you get a green on the range phase, it's gonna be 2 attacks, a pause, 2 attacks, and then you stun. And then your stun abilities with melee, you could use kick or you could use stomp. And then on the melee phase, it's after you get charged into the wall, which you preferably avoid. You're gonna get it hit twice, and then all you do is use freedom. When your stun timer is somewhere between 4 and 3 seconds, you're gonna dive away at max distance, and then throw on a shield and resonance, use devotion, or use barricade. Editing Ryan here, one thing that I didn't make clear enough is because you can use stuns to skip attacks at Kalphite King, you don't generally want to use a stun unless it's intentionally to skip a specific mechanic. So if you have like a revo bar or something, just make sure you don't have any stuns on your bar. This is especially pertinent if you're using like dual wield melee, where you probably don't want to use the destroy ability willy-nilly, because what you could end up doing is just skip a bunch of different attacks, and then you will have no idea when the green is going to come out. But yeah, with that said, thank you so much for watching this quick video. And with that said, I am going to get a hot beverage for my voice, and then we'll be going live in a bit. Take care, everyone. I'll see you all soon.